So here we are, centering and throwing with Porcelain Mark II. I realised that my methods have changed over the years, so I thought a refresher video would be quite clever. So I'm going to throw about a pound of porcelain onto a wooden bat. I dampen the wheel head to allow the clay to stick. Slap down into position so that it doesn't come loose. Moisten the hands and coax the clay into the middle by holding the hands as still as possible and then very gently moving it towards the middle. The clay's got nowhere to go except up. That then forms the classic cone. A little bit more moisture and we compress it back down. So I formed basically a cup in my right hand and supported in my left. So the cup collapses the clay down. They're a lot more centered than it was the first time, and rinse and repeat, as they say, on all the best instructions. Each time you bring up to a cone, you mix the various layers of clay together, which makes it more and more even. More and more centered, more and more even, which is what you actually need. So I'm going to be throwing a cylinder. So there we go, it's all centered. I'm going to be throwing a cylinder, so I've started out with a cylindrical piece of clay. If I wanted to throw a bowl, it would be more bowl shaped, shockingly. So I am going to support again with the left hand. With the right hand we go over the top. Now the two fingers are held together and they support each other. This allows the two fingers to be much stronger than one, and you're then not moved by the clay. You have to place that central hole in the middle of the bowl. And like that. Many occasions you will go all the way down to the wheel head until practice allows you to figure out where the wheel head is. Now I've got it centered hole, I'm going to take my fingers and just slightly curve them and pull out that base horizontally until I have a flat base at the bottom. Use the two fingers to compress the clay. That compression is quite important. It levels the base of the pot out and squares off the bottom of it all. Now I've got basically that shape there. So at the bottom of that here is the right thickness. So what I want to do is even that up all the way. So I then pull upwards, which all sounds very simple, and with practice is simple. Slightly lower the speed of the wheel head. So don't worry about that. I use a sponge with a little bit of water on it just to help me keep it moist and compressed. And then you pull vertically. Now I've pulled vertically, that gives me a cylinder. If I'd pulled out, I'd have had a bowl. If I'd thrown in, I'd have a more enclosed form. So that first action is actually quite important. not the end of the world, but if you can get it going in the right direction immediately, life is a lot easier. So again, we get the notch at the bottom, supported on the inside and pulled on the out. And with 2 pulls, we now have a reasonably decent cylinder. Now my fingers no longer fit to the bottom of the pot, so what I have is my trusty sponge on a stick. This is a cheap old brush with a piece of sponge wired to the end of it. The brush means it gives a little bit of support to the sponge, and that removes the water at the bottom of the pot. And with an old credit card, I now have a very acceptable cylinder. As you can see, there's not a lot of water left on the wheel head. I think that's any excess water is a waste. If it's ended up in the wheel trough, it's wasted. The only bit that matters is on the clay, and the less that you can get on the clay itself, the drier it stays and the more time you have to continue throwing. Now, if I could put a handle on that and make it into a mug. There's a lot of different things that you can do with a fairly basic form like this. What I'm going to try and do is make it into more of a globe. A friend of mine was just saying that she's trying to through a globe form, so I thought I'd see what I can do. So, sponge on a stick, pushed out from the inside and supported on the outside, and gently, gently, gently it becomes, you push out the bottom. It's important not to try to do too much in one go. Or else it all ends in tears. So that's the beginning of that. I'll really wet this top edge. Now, throttling is what it says. You grab the clay round the throat and gently squeeze. As you can see, I'm doing it at 6 different points. That spreads the stress out. So that again, it doesn't get away from you. Now, pushed out on the inside, pushed in on the outside. And we get that gentle curve going. So, excuse the occasional silence, it's I can't talk and concentrate. It's a failing of mine. Right, so that's getting more spherical. A little bit more. And as long as you do it gently and coax, you can actually do a surprising amount, even with porcelain. Now I've got to make sure, now I'm closing the neck up, it becomes more important to make sure you don't leave any water in the bottom. Because if the neck gets any tighter, you won't be able to access it even with a sponge on a stick. So, a little bit more, just to keep it fluid. And I've got a little bit of excess clay just around that neck. Now there's a couple of things I could do. I could take a pin and just remove that excess clay, or I could basically pull up again. So just to create a little bit of a neck. So we now have a bottle. Take my trusty credit card. Other bank cards will do. And try to remove that excess water and clay from around the outside. Won't take long. Sorry, I'm fiddling now. It's a very bad habit. Old stick, bit of bamboo. I don't normally do this, but this is just to... Oh, see, told you, don't often do this. That's me trying to do too much too quickly, pushed it off centre. Never mind. Yeah, we all make mistakes. A sphere. I hope this is of some use. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.